Okay, students, continuing the story. When the ghost asked Virginia to help, he said, "Help me, Virginia, help me. Cry for me and for my sins, because I have no tears. Pray with me, because I have no faith. Then, because you have always been sweet and good and gentle, the angel of death will have mercy on me. If you help me, you will see fearful shapes in the darkness and hear wicked voices whispering in your ear. But they will not hurt you, for evil has no power over good." Virginia did not answer, and the ghost waited anxiously as he looked down at her bowed golden head. Suddenly she stood up, very pale and with a strange light in her eyes. "I am not afraid," she said, "and I will ask the angel to have mercy on you." He got up with a faint cry of joy, took her hand, and kissed it. His fingers were as cold as ice, and his lips burnt like fire. He led her across the room. On an old picture there were little hunters. They blew their horns and waved to her to go back. "Go back, Virginia," they cried. "Go back." But the ghost held her hand more tightly, and she shut her eyes and so that she could not see them. Nasty animals with snakes' tails and huge round eyes looked at her from the wooden pictures round the chimney. They whispered, "Watch out, Virginia, watch out. We may never see you again." But the ghost went on faster, and Virginia did not listen. When they reached the end of the room, he stopped and whispered some words she could not understand. She opened her eyes and saw the wall slowly disappearing, and then there was a great black space in front of her. An icy cold wind swept round them, and she felt something pulling at her dress. "Quick, quick," cried the ghost, "or it will be too late." In a moment the wall had closed behind them. The library was empty. So students, when the ghost asked Virginia to help him, she agreed. Ghost also warned and told Virginia that she will hear horrible voices and see nasty animals, horror scenes, but she will be safe if she won't listen to them. The ghost believed Virginia as she was kind and has the power of truth and love with her. As Virginia went with the ghost on the journey towards Death of Garden, she heard horrifying strange voices, but she kept going. Finally, they reached the Death Garden. Okay, where is Virginia? About 5 minutes later, the bell rang for tea. As Virginia did not come down, Mrs. Otis sent one of the servants to fetch her. After a little time he returned. He said and that he could not find Miss Virginia anywhere. Mrs. Otis was not worried at first, for Virginia often went into the garden to pick flowers for the table before the evening meal. But when 6 o'clock struck and Virginia did not appear, she sent the boys out to look for her. She and Mr. Otis searched every room in the house. At 6:30, the boys came back and said that they could not find no sign of their sister anywhere. Mr. Otis then remembered that he had allowed some people to camp in the park. He set off on his horse to find them and question them. One of his sons and two of the farm servants went with him. The young Duke asked to be allowed to go too, but Mr. Otis would not let him as he was afraid there might be a fight. When he got to the camp, he found that the campers had gone. They had left in a hurry. Their fire was still burning. Mr. Otis was worried that the campers might have taken Virginia away with them. So, leaving Washington and the two men to search the district, he went home and sent telegrams to all the police inspectors round about. He asked them to look out for a girl who might have been kidnapped by some campers. After this, he went to the station to see if anyone had seen his daughter, but no one had. The fish pond in the grounds of Canterville Chase was searched, and so were the grounds themselves, but there was no sign of Virginia anywhere. So students, at tea time when Virginia did not come back, the Otis family got worried. They searched for her everywhere, in the garden, in the house, at the camp, in the park. They searched the whole district but could not find her. They thought she was kidnapped by the campers, so he called the police as well. Mrs. Otis was very upset and became ill with worry. So students, when Virginia was still missing, Mrs. Otis was very ill and weak, and Mr. Otis insisted that she must have something to eat and ordered supper for the whole family. It was not a happy meal. Hardly anyone spoke. Even the twins were quiet, for they were very fond of their sister. When they had finished, Mr. Otis ordered them all to bed, saying that nothing more could be done that night. Just as they were leaving the room, they heard the sound of a clock striking 12. It was midnight. When the last stroke sounded, they suddenly heard a crash and a cry. Thunder shook the house, strange music floated through the air, and a hidden door at the top of the stairs opened with a loud noise. Out of the door, looking very pale and quiet, stepped Virginia, carrying a little box in her hand. In a moment, they had all rushed up to her with cries of relief and delight. So students, the whole family was upset because Virginia was still missing. They did not enjoy their supper and went to bed quietly and very sadly. Then at midnight they heard a crash and to their surprise they saw Virginia standing at the top of the stairs outside the room door. But she looked very weak. Now please come to the next heading of the same page, the secret room. Good heavens, child, where have you been? Said Mr. Otis rather angrily, for he thought she had been playing some foolish trick on them. We've been looking for you all over the place. Your mother has been frightened to death. You must never do this again. My darling, thank God you are found. You must never leave my side again, said Mrs. Otis as she kissed the trembling girl. Father, said Virginia quietly, I have been with the ghost. He is dead, and you must all come and see him. He had been very wicked, but he was really sorry for all he had done. He gave me this box of beautiful jewels before he died. The whole family looked at her as if she was mad. Turning round, she led them through the opening in the wall down a narrow secret passage. So the Otis family was a little bit angry. They thought that Virginia was playing some trick with them. Mr. Otis scolded her. Mrs. Otis was very happy and relaxed to see her daughter once again. Virginia told her family that she was with the Canterville ghost and she helped him sleep in the Garden of Death. She got a box of jewels as a present from the ghost, but the whole family did not believe her. Then she took the whole family towards the secret room to see the Canterville ghost. Okay, students, when Virginia took the whole family towards a secret room to see the Canterville ghost, his brother Washington Otis picked up a candle from the table before he followed them. Finally, they came to a huge wooden door. When Virginia touched it, it swung back. They found themselves in a little low room with one tiny barred window. Stuck in the wall was a huge iron ring, and tied to it by a long chain was a thin skeleton. Its right arm was stretched out so that it seemed to be trying to touch an old-fashioned jug and plate that were placed just out of its reach. Virginia knelt down beside the skeleton and folding her hands together began to pray. The rest stood looking down at the terrible thing on the floor. Look, called one of the twins suddenly. He was standing at the window looking into the garden. Look, the old almond tree is in flower. I can see it quite plainly from here. God has forgiven him, said Virginia. So at last the Otis family reached the secret room and they saw a thin skeleton tied to a huge iron ring by a long chain. Virginia began to pray for the ghost because the ghost asked Virginia to pray for his sins. Suddenly the Otis family noticed that the old almond tree in the garden was in flower once again, which meant that God had forgiven the Canterville ghost.